What if I told you that some of the oldest amusement parks in the United States weren't just about thrill rides, but actually about trolleys? Yep, long before the days of Disney castles and animatronic dinosaurs, there was a time when you could hop on a streetcar, ride out to the edge of town, and spend the day picnicking by a lake, dancing in a pavilion, or maybe even taking a spin on a wooden coaster. Welcome to Pop Culture Passport, your ultimate guide to quirky and cool destinations across the US. I'm your host, Beth Scalacci, aka the Roman Yeti, here to help you dive into the world of theme parks, uncover film and TV locations, and explore quirky museums, roadside attractions, and legendary venues that capture the heart and soul of this unique country. So grab your pop culture passport and let's discover destinations that resonate with your interest, not just with what's trending on social media. Are you ready? Let's roam. Welcome back. Today we are going on a nostalgic journey into the world of trolley parks, a surprisingly influential chapter in American amusement history. So these parks weren't flashy. They weren't even built for entertainment at first, but they played a huge role in shaping our culture, our transportation habits, and even our idea of what makes a great day out. So grab a snack and a seat in the time machine because we're heading back to the late 1800s. So let's start with the basics. A trolley park was exactly what it sounds like, a park created by a trolley or streetcar company, and it was usually located at the very end of the trolley or streetcar line. So, in the late 19th and 20th century, trolley companies were looking for ways to increase ridership, especially on weekends and evenings. And most people, they were using the trolleys to commute into the city, but once the workday was done, those streetcars just pretty much sat empty. So the companies thought, what if we gave people a reason to ride them outside of their typical work hours? The solution? Well, build a recreational park just far enough away from the city to make the trip feel like a mini getaway. These parks often popped up near natural beauty of lakes, rivers, shady groves, and it wasn't just about amusement rides at that point. It was they had picnic areas, dance pavilions, music halls. They were designed for leisure, fresh air, and just affordable fun. And for a growing middle class who wanted more than just a walk in the neighborhood, they were the perfect solution. So let's paint the picture. Imagine it's a Sunday afternoon around 1910. You and your family hop on a streetcar at the edge of the city. It's warm out and you're wearing your Sunday's best. Maybe a straw hat, a cotton dress, polished shoes. You're heading for a shady park by the lake where you'll unpack a picnic, listen to a live band, and if you're lucky, ride one of those new mechanical amusements everyone's talking about. The first attractions were pretty simple: carousels with hand carved horses, small Ferris wheels, and maybe even a boat ride on the lake. Some had penny arcades, other had dance halls where local musicians would play ragtime or swing. Admission was usually free or very inexpensive. The idea that you'd pay for food, rides, souvenirs, well, that just wasn't there yet. This was for families who couldn't afford long vacations, and trolley parks were their perfect escape. And unlike theme parks today that might take months of planning and saving, a visit to a trolley park could be a pretty spontaneous weekend outing. Now, trolley parks had a few defining features that set them apart from other kinds of amusement spaces, and of course, from the mega theme parks we all know today. Now, these parks, as I said, were almost always at the end of a trolley line. And that wasn't accidental, it was strategic. And as I mentioned, trolley companies wanted to sell more tickets. So placing a leisure destination at the furthest stop, well, that made perfect sense. And they were also located in what was considered the countryside. These are places with lakes, tall trees, open spaces. It was really about being surrounded by nature. It was a retreat from the city noise and congestion. And trolley parks were the people's parks. They were designed to be accessible to working families. You didn't need to be wealthy to enjoy them. Just hop on a trolley, maybe bring your own lunch, and just enjoy the day. And they weren't just parks. They were social hubs. Churches, labor unions, and schools would host annual outings. Couples would meet there, kids would run around all day, and in the evening, the bandstand would light up for music and dancing. Now, over the years, as technology advanced and public taste evolved, trolley parks did too. Many expanded their ride offerings into early roller coasters, often made of wood and running along a natural terrain. Others added swimming pools, fun houses, miniature railways, and arcade games. Some even hosted vaudeville shows or traveling entertainments. Now, while the earliest parks leaned heavily on natural charm and passive recreation, by the 1920s and 30s, the line between trolley parks and amusement parks sort of began to blur. People were craving more thrills, and competition between parks led to increasingly daring attractions. But even with these additions, trolley parks kept their unique flavor. They were still designed to be accessible and still deeply rooted in their local communities. So, what happened? Why do we not have these anymore? Well, the golden age of trolley parks began to dim in the mid 20th century, and a few key factors contributed to this. First, the rise of the automobile. As more families bought cars and roads improved, people weren't limited to the trolley routes. They could drive anywhere. And as we know, they did. Second, urban expansion. Many trolley parks sat on land that was increasingly valuable for housing and development. Some were bulldozed to make way for shopping centers and subdivisions. And third, and arguably the biggest shift away from trolley parks, was the arrival of destination theme parks. Yes, the Disneyland that we love so much caused the end of trolley parks. In 1955, as we all know, Disneyland opened in Anaheim, and it changed the game. As we all know, it wasn't just a park, it was a fully themed, immersive world, and suddenly the simple pleasures of a lakeside picnic and a carousel seemed quaint, and people began to dream bigger, and many small local parks just couldn't keep up. But not all was lost. A handful of these parks adapted, modernized, and survived. And they're still operating today, offering a magical blend of history and fun. So let's talk about a few. Lake Compounce in Connecticut is the oldest continuously operating amusement park in the United States, and it dates back to 1846. That's even before most trolley systems. Today, it's known for its beautiful lake views and modern coasters like Boulder Dash, which is carved into the side of a mountain. Rye Playland, which I mentioned last week on the Mid Atlantic theme park road trip, it opened in New York in 1928, and it's the only government owned amusement park in the country. It has gorgeous Art Deco architecture, views of Long Island Sound, and historic rides like the Dragon Coaster. Then there's also Kennywood in Pennsylvania, which opened in 1898 and is now a National Historic Landmark. It blends charms and thrills perfectly. Wooden coasters like Jackrabbit and Thunderbolt sit alongside modern rides like Phantom's Revenge. And next up, we have Seabreeze Amusement Park in Rochester, New York. And that has been operating since 1879 and actually sits on the shores of Lake Ontario. Its Jackrabbit coaster is the oldest continuously operating wooden coaster in the US. And yes, Kennywood has a Jackrabbit too. There's actually a lot of interesting history into that, the naming. So if you're interested, I can do an episode about that in the future. Just let me know if that's interesting to you at all or not. But Seabreeze is actually how I became aware of these parks being called trolley parks and sort of the history. Um, Seabreeze is very close to where we stay when we're in the Rochester area. So I was doing some research about it and checking it out. And then I just sort of dove into the history of these fascinating parks and how they evolved and what they've brought us. Um, so, when I when I have questions, I dig deep and hopefully you don't mind me sharing them with you. And our last stop is Kenobi Lake Park, which is in New Hampshire. It was founded in 1902 as a trolley park and now has over 85 attractions. It's still family owned and retains a gorgeous lakeside atmosphere. And plus, it has modern rides like something called Untamed, which sounds terrifying to me, if I'm going to be honest. Um, there are also parks that are no longer exist, obviously, but I wanted to mention two that sort of have a big legacy. One is Electric Park in Kansas City, which was famous for its dazzling lights and is said to have inspired a young Walt Disney. And there's also Eudora Park in Ohio, which was known for its community dances and beautiful landscaping. So, why should we care about these trolley parks in 2025? Well, because they're reminders of where this whole amusement park obsession started. And they reflect a simpler time, but also one that innovated in quiet ways. They used marketing and community building and good old fashioned fun to create something lasting. They also show that great experience, it doesn't have to be massive or expensive. Sometimes it takes a shady tree, a Ferris wheel, and maybe a bandstand with a live band. If you ever get a chance to visit one of these historic parks, I encourage you. I'm so looking forward to checking out Seabreeze at some point. Every time we get it on the calendar, it rains. So we'll get there eventually. I know we will. Um, I think I'm looking forward to just feeling sort of a difference, this sort of soul that they're gonna have, this nostalgic feel that you don't get necessarily from a modern day theme park. So, have you been to one of these historic trolley parks? I'd love to hear any memories of a local park that doesn't exist anymore. You can reach out. There's a form on theroamingyeti.com. You can also send me a message by clicking on the send us a text link in the show notes. I really do want to hear from you guys, so please use that link. And if there's something you want to learn more about, or um, something you want to share, please let me know. For this week's Yeti's Pop Pick, I stumbled across an article from afar, and it's all about how different generations plan their vacations. And let me tell you, as a Gen Xer, I felt absolutely seen for once, right? For Gen X. According to the article, Gen X travelers are all about practical planning, smooth logistics, and experiences that are meaningful, not just flashy. Sound familiar? So boomers tend to go on big and luxurious trips, and they often travel with their whole family. Millennials lean into group adventures and love those off the beaten path experiences that are Instagrammable. And Gen Z, well, let's just say they're going to go vacation where TikTok tells them to go vacation. They're heavily influenced by social media, um, and get a lot of their ideas from there. So, no matter your generation, I think the takeaway is this: the best kind of trip is the one that matches you personally and your traveling party, of course. Um, and, you know, and if you're here, I'm going to assume you're into pop culture, quirky, nostalgic, personality packed travel, and I'm glad you're here for sure. Again, I just so believe strongly in this picking things that match you. Um, we're back from LA. I'm still trying to put together so much content for you guys, but I know we travel in a very different way than other people that go to LA. A lot of people are all beaches. We were very pop culture, very film oriented, theme park sort of oriented. Um, and I think that's what's great. You can have multiple people go to one place and have very different experiences, and I think that's to be celebrated and something I believe strongly in, and I hope you are enjoying these episodes and checking out quirkyandcool.com to find places that sort of match up with your wants and needs for travel. So, with that, we're going to add another stamp to our pop culture passport. I hope that this episode inspires you to get out and explore all that is quirky and cool, even in your own backyard. Follow, download, and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. Tell a friend and leave a review if you like what we're doing. It really helps the show to grow. You can also follow me on Instagram or Facebook. Just search for The Roaming Yeti. Keep roaming and finding your fun.